Welcome back to Washington Watch. My name is Joseph Backholm. I'm sitting in for Tony Perkins today, and it's my pleasure to be doing so. I want to remind you that you can find the show at tonyperkins.com. Now, we talked many times here on Washington Watch about the ways that parents' eyes are being opened to what their children are being taught in school. But it's not just what is being given to children intentionally that is the problem in every case. In some cases, it's what children are being given access to accidentally. Now, one Wisconsin mom told this story to her local school board earlier this week.
On one occasion this fall, while at home, my 5-year-old child on the school-issued iPad typed in searches like EEFFGG and accessed multiple pages on a pornography website, videos on YouTube of people smoking, a Russian password hacking website, and a YouTube-like website with absurd, inappropriate videos from all over the world.
Are schools doing enough to prioritize cyber safety? Joining me now to talk about this is Dr. Eleanor Gaetan, Vice President and Director of Public Policy at the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Dr. Gaetan, welcome to Washington Watch.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Great to be here.
We're glad to have you, and thank you for the work that you do. You've heard this story from this mother in Wisconsin. Is this a surprise to you?
No. It is happening all over the country, and Nkosi gets calls like this every day. The schools are supposed to have filters in place, but many of the schools themselves have not most effectively implemented those filters. And it's very hard for parents to figure this out. So step one, if you suspect that your child has gained access to either pornographic material or age inappropriate material, is to talk to the school. You have to connect with the IT administrator and the school leadership in order to establish what have they put on these devices. Are they complying with federal law? You have to look at the contract that you probably signed as a parent when you took the device. So again, the burden is too much on parents to figure all this out.
I know you're not a lawyer, at least I think you're not a lawyer, but do you know what the law is on this and what schools' responsibility is?
So yes, under SIPA, the Children's Internet Protection Act, schools should be filtering any implement that's used, any device that's used in the classroom. Of course, though, even the IT administrator might not have sufficient training or might have inherited equipment, or there's old equipment. There are too many gaps in the system, putting full responsibility on human beings in the school administration and then parents at home. And it's too complicated to put many of the filter devices that are embedded in your cell phone are very difficult to implement, to activate. And again, the burden's on the family. And Nkosi feels strongly that digital companies, who are billion-dollar companies, should be taking much more of the responsibility to protect children and to default to safety. Make these devices default to the safe position, safety on.
As the parent of 3 teenagers and the manager of lots of electronic devices in our homes, I agree with you that it is complicated. And you have routers and you have different service providers and you have so many different devices. It's a maze that we have to try to navigate. Is this, in your judgment, mostly a family parental problem, or is it mostly a policy issue that could be fixed if big tech got on board, if the right regulations were created?
Exactly. It's a combination of both and. Corporate America has to take more responsibility. Google, specifically, let's talk about exactly the two players, because the vast majority of devices that children are using to access what is essential during the pandemic, their education online, are Google Chromebooks and the iPads made by Apple. So we're talking about 2 corporate entities that control the vast majority of these devices. Now, I'm going to tell you a good story and a bad story about just corporate initiative. Regardless, put aside federal regulation. We had really good news. Google Chromebooks default to safety as of September 1st, after years of requests and petitions and discussions with Nkosi and Google employer and executives. They're defaulting in significant ways to safety, but it's not foolproof, right? And meanwhile, Apple has done far less. In August, Apple announced some very important changes. For example, they would automatically scan to identify child sexual abuse material. We used to call it child pornography, but we want to emphasize how this abuse is harmful for a lifetime to the victims. So child sexual abuse material would be tracked, scanned. It could be identified. Each image has a fingerprint, just like a finger or a snowflake. They announced that they would track, that they would automatically blur nude images that were uploaded to iMessenger. So no one could even transmit intimate images. Or if a child was under 12, the parents would be notified that that child had tried to send or receive a nude image. These were all fantastic
Dr.
steps.
Gaetan?
Yeah.
We have about 40 seconds left. And very quickly, where can people go to get these resources, to get help? Confused parents want to know what they can do. Where should they go to get that information?
Well, just to finish the story, Apple announced these changes and then retracted the changes and have not implemented them once the privacy apologists got in the picture and ranted and raved. So families got to get more active. Families have to demand action. Right. We have, I think we sent you already, we have a campaign to contact Apple and ask Apple to implement these
Dr.
filters
Gaetan,
and these steps.
Thank you so much for your time. We are sadly out of time, but we're going to get back to you on this one. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Stay with us. More Washington Watch.